Ah, Test. Can you hear me? Okay, okay, okay. Hey, this is Warren Redlick. Thank you for watching. A lot of people are freaking out. The Tesla stock is now down, last I saw, below $130 a share. This is completely dislodged from fundamentals. Yeah, I think I got it. I think we got it now, right? Let me know if you can hear me. Hello, hello, hello. Tell me if you can hear me. Blah, 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 blah. There we go. Okay. So Tesla stock has dropped below $130 a share. This is completely dislodged from Tesla fundamentals. But Tesla's probably going to report January 23 that earnings per share for 2022 was in the ballpark of $4 a share or more. So Tesla stock on current price earnings ratio is trading 30 30 a 30 price earnings ratio for a company that is growing. I want to stress this. Tesla as a company is performing extremely well. Tesla stock is down, and it's hard to explain why Tesla stock is down so much in the face of so much good news for the company. We just started delivering Tesla Semi. Shanghai production has grown. Giga Berlin and Giga Texas are kicking butt. There's lots of good stuff going on. We've got this big tax credit coming next year, which is going to massively increase demand for Tesla. Need therapy session once again. So I can't, I've never been one to say I can predict short-term stock price movements. I have a theory about what's going on with Tesla's short-term stock price. And there's two things going on. One, number one, there's the Twitter overhang story, which, if you remember back on October 27th or so, when the transaction was completed, Gary said Twitter overhang lifted. And then, of course, the stock went down. And there was a theory about when they get investment grade credit rating, the stock will go up. They got investment grade credit rating and the stock went down. There's macro issues that are driving all stocks down. And the thing is that Tesla is more likely to have more people buying stock on margin. Because if you buy stock on margin and the stock goes up, you make more money. Tesla has more people buying options. And I don't know if option games can lead to share price effect. I don't fully understand how that works. If you buy long calls, I don't think that depresses the stock price when the call doesn't go through. But I think people who buy on long calls and lose them might all of a sudden need cash and might be forced to sell stock. I think there are distressed investors who are being forced to sell stock by margin calls or other things. Margin call is you borrowed money on your stock, and then the stock goes down enough that the brokerage that you borrowed from says, "Hey, you now have too high a share of borrowing on your stock. You have to sell some stock to make up for this margin problem." And if a lot of people are being margin called, and that's something that really makes people panic when they have to sell on margin. Now, I don't have anything on margin. I've never bought on margin. I did get approved for margin on one of my accounts, but I've never used it. I do own a very, and bet I put $9,000 on long calls for Tesla for June of 2024. I do think that this is a better explanation for the decline in Tesla stock than anything else, is that Tesla is probably a more heavily margined stock than other stocks. It's something that we see in the Tesla community, people talking about doing option plays. There's a lot of short-term trading on this highly volatile stock. So that's my best theory. And as the stock declines, more and more people get margin called and more people have to sell. So Elon's sales of Tesla stock is nothing compared to margin buyers having to sell. So I think that's my best theory. If you look at Tesla as a company and their performance as a company, everything's going really well. I mean, they're massively increasing production. They've got this massive tax credit for next year. They're opening markets. Thailand is just open. They're opening Turkey. And these are smaller markets, but you add up 20 smaller markets and you get a pretty big market. Yeah, Elon sold some stock. That's true. But Elon's sales aren't enough to, Elon sold then. Why is the stock continuing to decline? And everybody's like, oh, Elon must be selling. How about margin called people are selling? Um, I'm looking in the chat here. I just I'm trying to figure out for myself. I don't really, honestly, I don't really care that much. Like, just full disclosure, I own a lot of Tesla stock. I have one option play that goes out to June 2024, so I'm not really worried about the short term, even for that. And that's a small part of my portfolio. Yes, and elonbits.com for merchandise. Let's make babies. Let's save the world from population collapse. Some people will, if you wear this shirt, some people will think you mean something different than being concerned about global population collapse. Just to tell you, elonbits.com. So I understand a lot of people are stressed. I'm getting a lot of DMs from people who are stressed. People made like options plays and their options failed or something like that. All I can tell you is I have never encouraged people to buy options. I did do a small option play myself, but it's like 1% of my portfolio is in this option play, right? I've never bought on margin. I've never encouraged people to margin. This is, here's a lesson for you. There are people out there who are selling option strategies and selling margin strategies on YouTube. If you've been listening to those people, if you've been listening to people with short term trading strategies, well, apparently, they're not that good strategies. And the buy and hold strategy will, over the long haul, play out well. Right now, it doesn't look that great. But again, I started buying, in 2016. So if you bought at $30 a share and it's down to 130, you're not really that far gone, are you? One guy messaged me that he had made a lot of money on Tesla stock and he sold it all and he bought long calls. I didn't tell people to do that. There are people out there who are pushing option strategies, and this is that moment where you realize that short-term trading strategies, that these kind of options and margin trading strategies are not the answer. The real answer is to buy stock consistently. Dollar cost averaging is an idea. I don't follow dollar cost averaging. I follow the when I have free cash, I buy Tesla stock. Because I don't have a steady flow of income like other people. I have a steady flow of expenses. I'm going to switch to cash flow positive by sometime this year. Sometime in 2023, I'm going to switch to cash flow positive. But if you have like a steady flow of income, you can do dollar cost averaging, and that's a good approach. If you're not familiar with dollar cost averaging, look it up. But as a buy and hold investor, if your time horizon is 2025 or 2030, then the share price in December of 2022 doesn't matter. And I can't help you. Like so there's two issues. There's people who are playing short-term trading there are people who are playing short-term trading strategies, option strategies, margin strategies, and this is very stressful for them. Understandably, because you chose to play a risky game. There are risks in playing a risky game. If you thought you were playing a riskless game because some guy on some YouTube channel told you, here's how you play the game, you're finding out that's not such a good strategy. The other thing is, and this is the type of investor I'm really trying to speak to, is if you are a long-term buy and hold investor, look at the company. Don't look at the short-term share price. I honestly, like, the only reason I see the short-term share price is because people keep texting me. People keep DMing me and messaging me and talking about it on Twitter. I generally don't look at the stock price on a daily basis. I honestly don't. If it wasn't as crazy it is, I probably wouldn't be looking at it on a weekly basis or even a monthly basis. I'm looking at the company. What's happening with Tesla, the company? They're increasing production. They're really doing well at increasing production. They're improving FSD. I just got the latest update to Tesla FSD, FSD beta 10.69.25. And, I see in the release notes the improvements they're making. They're constantly making improvements to it. They expanded raw photon count to another to the object detection network. They're constantly improving that software and getting it closer and closer to where it's going to be there. Now, and to be blunt, like when I drive it, I get frustrated with it. It slows down for flashing yellow still. It really shouldn't be slowing down but I don't think that's a priority for them to train for. Like they haven't made flashing yellows, don't slow for flashing yellows a priority because they're focusing on don't crash. And slowing for flashing yellows doesn't cause crashes. I think that's the strategy. So they're massively innovating on FSD beta. They're massively innovating on bot. We're seeing stories out of Lathrop, California that the Megapack factory is ramping and there's a bunch of Megapacks getting ready to go out. And I don't think Megapack's going to be a big impact on Q4. The Inflation Reduction Act tax credits matter more for 2023, although sales in other countries are probably not affected by the Inflation Reduction Act much. So I think Tesla is planning on a massive Q1. That's, and now this is tough as an investor, right? The January numbers, we're in January 2nd, we're going to get production and delivery numbers. January 21st or so, around January 21st, we're going to get earnings. Earnings are going to be good. The production and deliveries are going to be records. The earnings is going to be a record. We are seeing some discounting right now at the end of the month to get cars sold because people are anticipating the tax credit, and Tesla needs to discount to get people to go ahead and buy, and they can afford to discount and go ahead and buy because margins are so large and they'd rather not have these cars pile up. All makes perfect sense. Once you have a world where everybody's getting a $7,500 tax credit to buy a car, these cars are going to be flying off the shelves. If there were shelves, they're not on shelves. That's a short-term prediction about what's going to happen with the car sales, that people are holding off on purchasing until they can get this massive tax credit. And now that they see they're getting this discount, that may sell more cars. So the delivery numbers might actually be higher than anticipated because of this big discount. I mean, I'm actually thinking about going out and buying a Tesla Model 3 right now. Because if I can get a Model 3 right now for $7,500 off, sell my Plaid X, that solves a little bit of my cash burn problem. I'm probably not going to do it, but it's a thought. Broke Malone says, what's going on with Ross? I'm working on a video right now about Ross and Gary. That's coming. Thank you, Mike Arzo, for your support. Really appreciate your kind words. He says, the best, honest, and true Tesla information source comparing millions of YouTubers on Tesla. Way to go, Warren. You rock. Thank you. I think there's other really good YouTubers. I think that Dave Lee, Rob Maurer, Stephen Mark Ryan are also really good. James Stevenson. I don't tend to focus where James Stevenson focuses, but I think he does a really good job of telling a story. It's hard. He's harder to watch, but I think he's really good. And Limiting Factor, Jordan Giesecke. If you focus on the company, if you focus on the innovation, if you focus on the progress that we're seeing, then I think that's a lot better than focusing on daily stock price. And if you need to focus on daily stock price, then I think you're just playing the wrong game. It's funny. I'm going to go off on a tangent here. I got my Let's Make Babies t-shirt at elonbits.com. This is not recommended, by the way. This will not make women attracted to you. I found that out. If you think that the solution to life is, like, I just did a poll on Twitter. Would you rather have sex with 1,000 different women in your life one time each? Or would you rather have sex with one woman 1,000 times in your life? And a lot of people choose have sex with 1,000 different women. Now, my personal opinion is that it's a lot more meaningful to have one woman. And I did that, right? I happily married for over 20 years. And so I've done that one. And I have had sex with a few other women in my life. But I personally would say that having sex with the same women many times is far more satisfying, for me at least, than having sex with many different women. That's just an opinion. And it's the same thing. Like do you have a long-term view of life, or do you have a short-term view of life? And if you are like looking for a short-term thrills, then you're going to play short-term games on the stock market, and you're going to play with fast women, right? And you're not going to have long-term meaningful relationships with a stock, and you're not going to have long-term meaningful relationships with a woman. I think I've kindly gone like way off on my analogy there, but I don't think I'm that far off. Jared Ward says, I just lost my nuts. If you are a short-term trader and you're looking for answers for how to succeed in short-term trading, I'm not the channel for you. I don't think there is a channel for you. I think there are channels that will tell you stories. I believe the one true path is buy and hold investing. And, every once in a while you can play with 1% of your portfolio and buy options or buy, some silly thing. But if you should not make short-term trading a large part of your portfolio. It works for some people. Look, if you have 1,000 monkeys playing short-term trading strategies, one of them will be a billionaire. It doesn't mean that he's smart. It just means that he was lucky. So everyone is looking forward to Tesla's 2023 guidance. I don't know that we're going to get guidance. I think that Tesla tends to avoid guidance when we have such turmoil macro. So I don't think they're going to guide. I think what they're going to guide for is production numbers. And I don't think they can guide for revenue or profits because that side of it's scary. But I think Tesla has been very clear that they are going to increase production. This is a contrast, by the way, between myself and Troy Teslike. And I really respect Troy Teslike, and I am a Patreon supporter. I encourage you to support him on Patreon. But I don't agree with his perspective. He thinks Tesla's going to throttle back production, and I think Tesla's going to go balls to the wall and produce more. And this is understanding a Silicon Valley company. Tesla is at root a Silicon Valley company. And what Silicon Valley companies do is they grab market share when it's available. If the market is tanking and there's a recession, this is an opportunity for Tesla to grab sales, get more customers. And ultimately what Tesla needs is they need more cars on the road to generate more data to get FSD working faster, because the future of Tesla, if you understand what Zach Kirkhorn talks about, what Elon talks about, what the Tesla team talks about, the future value of Tesla is driven a lot more by artificial intelligence, machine learning, robotaxi, and bot than it is by short-term car sales, right? Than short-term profits on cars. The profits come when you deliver full self-driving to the point where you get to, quote, level 4, which I hate that term, and people can sit in the car. You still have to sit in the driver's seat, but you no longer have to pay attention. You no longer have to touch the wheel. You can be on your phone. You can play with your girlfriend in the passenger seat, whatever, until the car tells you to pay attention. That's a game changer in terms of value. And that's going to massively increase the take rate of FSD, which massively increases the average selling price of cars. And we can't know how far we are from that. I think we're going to get there by the end of 2023. I thought we were going to get there by the end of 2022. So you got to hold me accountable when I'm wrong, and I'll hold myself accountable when I'm wrong. We didn't get there yet. We can't know when we're going to get there. I am optimistic that with all this data generation and with all this supercomputer power that's online and going online, it's like 14,000 GPU supercomputer cluster at Tesla right now with NVIDIA supercomputers, Dojo coming online sometime soon. Massive compute, massive data generation. So the idea that Tesla is going to throttle back production, no, they're going to lower prices if they have to get as many cars on the road to generate as much data as possible so they can get FSD working as quickly as possible so they can generate massive value from full self-driving. That's the future. So Vince Gowdy says FSD takes another 10 years. We can't know. I can't say that Vince is wrong, right? I can just say I'm driving it on a daily basis and it's pretty damn good. It's irritating sometimes, but it is safe. It doesn't commit like safety. It almost never commits a safety error anymore. It makes navigation errors. Like it'll turn right when it's supposed to turn left. And it's really, this is one particular intersection near where I'm living. You're going out onto A1A, I think it is, or Astronaut Boulevard. I forget the name of the road. And there's this weird intersection where it sort of curves up to the light. And there's two lanes and both lanes can turn left. And it should go into the left lane, and it chooses the right lane, and then for some reason it gets up the intersection, it turns right instead of left when it can turn left. So there's still little irritating moments where you have to take over, but there's no safety moments anymore. I genuinely do not have moments where I think it's going to make a mistake that's going to cause a crash. It just doesn't happen anymore. Tesla self-driving has gotten so good that I think it genuinely is crash-proof or damn close to crash-proof, and that's important. So, and then the other thing is, if we are facing a recession, which a lot of people think we're facing a recession, if we are facing a recession and it's going to hurt car sales, it's going to hurt car sales for the weak first. So General Motors and Ford and Volkswagen and maybe Toyota, they're going to suffer more. Their sales are going to get hit more. Whoever has the highest brand loyalty is probably going to hold up best. And you know who has the highest brand loyalty? Tesla and Lexus. Like Lexus will hold up. But Ford, GM, Stellantis, Volkswagen, I'm not sure about Toyota's brand loyalty, Hyundai, Kia, a lot of these gas cars in particular, that's something where people have seen high gas prices and they don't like it. And as they learn about the efficiency of electric vehicles and the savings, like I have the third fastest car you can buy. And I get like the equivalent of 90 miles a gallon. My car's charging right now for like it's the equivalent of paying like 50 cents a gallon, right? That's the beauty of electric vehicles. It's like you're paying 50 cents a gallon for your gas. And you can charge it home. I don't have to go to a gas station. It's charging at home right now. So people are figuring that out. Their friends are telling them, hey, this Tesla thing is awesome. And there's going to be this threshold where they hit FSD. It's not next week. It's not version 11. Version 11 is coming soon. It's not version 11. But maybe it's version 12. Maybe it's version 13. Could it be June of 2023? Could it be December of 2023? Does it get pushed to 2024? It doesn't really matter if your investing horizon is 2030. As long as it happens before 2030, that's what matters. And so Tesla needs to pump as many cars out on the road as possible. And it's okay for them to get less profit although I think that the Inflation Reduction Act is going to so accelerate profits in North America that even though you might see sales price declines in China. Keep in mind that the China factory is so hyper efficient at producing cars that they have a lot of room. They have really high margins on their sales, so they can lower prices and still make really good profits in China. And Giga Berlin is scaling and ramping, and that means we're going to make more profits in Europe. Again, you've got recessionary issues that are holding things back, but people buy the strong cars in a recession. They don't buy the weak cars in a recession. So I don't want to make short-term predictions about what's going to happen in terms of sales and profits and revenue. I do think also you're seeing Megapack ramp up, and that's a big impact. And Semi is going to ramp up, and that's a big positive impact. A lot of big positive things happening. Cybertruck is coming middle of next year. This idea from Ross and Gary that Elon needs to get on the production line. Cybertruck is coming. As far as we can tell, they are on pace. The Giga Press is being installed in Austin. We've got this massive array of Joe Tetmeyer just posted a picture of Model Y structural battery packs like stacked up, like 1,500 of them ready to go into cars. I mean, there's all kinds of great stuff happening at Tesla. So there's Tesla. I want to separate this though. There's Tesla the company here, and there's Tesla the stock here. And if your focus is the stock price, you're never going to be happy because you're always going to see this up and down stuff. If your focus is the company, you're going to see continued growth. You're going to see continued improvement. You're going to see all this great news. They delivered semi. They delivered something that Bill Gates said they couldn't do, right? Model Y is ramping. Model Y is going to be the best-selling car by unit volume in the world in 2023. It is probably going to have been, I think it's very confident it's going to be the largest selling vehicle by dollar value in the world in 2022. Tesla is killing it. They are crushing it. This is a company that came from nowhere and is now becoming the dominant car maker in the world. And the path, right? The best car maker is ultimately going to sell more cars than anybody else. And the other companies are selling. Toyota and Volkswagen have a history of selling 10 million a year. Tesla's going to get to 10 million a year plus, and right now we're only at a 2 million run rate. There's a huge growth path for Tesla. So let's get back to this. So, sorry, your thoughts on Gary's insistence that Elon needs to announce a Twitter CEO immediately? I don't care. Gary has gone off. Gary's gone off the deep end. Ross has gone. Gary was always off the deep end. Ross has gone off the deep end. Elon said, "Look, there's no CEO that's willing to step into the job, that's ready to do the job that needs to be done at Twitter." Elon is doing a great job at Twitter. We're seeing new features come out, more than once a week. We're seeing significant improvement in Twitter. And Twitter is not connected to Tesla. Twitter is only connected to Tesla because people like Ross and Gary are making the connection that doesn't exist. There is no connection. Tesla is running great. I just saw this video. I've got a video coming where Ross and Gary are talking about how, like, Ross is talking about how Elon needs to be on the production line for the Cybertruck. There is no production line for the Cybertruck yet. They're still engineering the Cybertruck. They're getting it down. They're getting what do you like? The beauty of Tesla, this is really, really good news for Tesla, okay? Tesla is doing so well as a company that Elon doesn't need to be on the manufacturing line. If you go back 4 years, Elon had to be on the manufacturing line because the company was going to fail without him being there. They've gotten so good. Lars has gotten so good. They've got this guy, Tom Zhu from China in. They've got Drew Baglino. They've got this great team. Things are running so well at Tesla that Elon doesn't need to. This is like the biggest sign of confidence in the company. If Elon thought he needed to be in the trenches at Tesla, he would be there. He's so confident in the team's execution that he's able to take time away from Tesla and SpaceX to focus on Twitter for a while. Mark Plott says 50,000 Tesla Semi 2024 production. Yeah, I think that's about right, Mark. I think it might be more because I think we might see a new Tesla Semi factory before we get to the end of 2024 producing vehicles. We may get higher than that. If Q4 earnings are good, it should shut all critics saying Elon should be at Twitter. I don't know what's going to happen with Q4 earnings. I think here's what's likely to happen with Q4 earnings. Just to be clear, I don't like talking short-term stuff, but I'll talk about it for a second. Q4 2021 was something like 80 cents a share. Q4 2022 is probably going to be more than $1 a share. It might be $1.30 or $1.50. You're going to have deferred revenue recognition from FSD beta going into wide release, and that's going to be significant. You're going to have more sales. Cost of goods sold, I believe, only applies to the cars you actually sold. The cost of the vehicles that were produced but not sold shouldn't affect that. So I think we may see earnings per share at $1.30, $1.50, and that should push earnings per share for the year over $4 a share. We'll see. And then you look to 2023, and I want to say we're going to see $8 a share. But with the macro stuff, with the pressure on pricing in the rest of the world, with the Inflation Reduction Act tax credits, that should really boost earnings for 2023. But then you have this recessionary effect, and I don't know what effect that's going to have on pricing in America, in the world, etc. So that can have a downward pressure on earnings. But, we should see at least 50% earnings growth in 2023, which would be $6 a share. And we might see $7 or $8 a share. These are all guesses. This is not hashtag not financial advice, right? Wasn't the Semi supposed to be in mass production by 2018, 2019? I don't know if they had a target date for mass production for Semi. It doesn't matter. It's in mass production now. I don't even know if it's in mass production now. It's in production now. The Tesla had a choice about what it was going to do with its batteries, and I think it made the correct decision to focus on Model 3 and then Model Y, and Semi followed. And they got there, and they're producing it. So who cares whether it was 2018 or 2019? Tesla outperformed from 2020 to 2022. Tesla stock grew dramatically from 2019 on. So what are we worried about that for? And the company has grown dramatically, and revenue's grown dramatically, and profits grown dramatically. There's lots of great news at Tesla all this time. No exactly, Steel Curtain, thank you. No CEO actually goes on the manufacturing. So Ross is talking about, well, this is what other companies do, and other companies have a crisis management team, and other companies have PR. Well, other companies don't have their CEOs on the manufacturing line, Ross. So do you want Tesla to be like other companies, or do you want Tesla to be Tesla? Do you want Elon to be like other CEOs, or do you want Elon to be Elon? Tesla Energy Q4 finally shows profitable margin. Yeah, what I think Q3 was actually profitable. I think Tesla Energy actually was profitable in Q3, and it's gonna be more gross profit. I think Tesla Energy showed gross profit in Q3. It may have shown gross profit in Q2, and Tesla Energy is probably going to show more gross profit in Q4. I was actually if I remember correctly, Q3 did not increase the profit margin like I thought it would, because they did scale production, but they didn't scale profit. So we'll see. Is Chicken a genius? Chicken called the bottom at 140, and now we're at 130. So maybe he's not that much of a genius. Anybody can call a number, and if you call 10 numbers and one of them's right, you say, "See, I was right." And his reasons for the decline to 140 were different than what actually happened. People are very tied to image. I wouldn't buy a car if the company was owned by Trump. Really? Really? I mean, I think very few people are. First of all, Elon is not Trump. If the media makes him Trump, don't blame Elon for that. Blame the media. He needs much better public relations. No, he doesn't. What you're complaining about with PR is that the media doesn't treat Tesla well, and the media doesn't treat Elon well. That's been true for years. That's not new. This has been going on. Like I'm here for the long haul. I've been a Tesla investor since 2016. I've been following Elon since, I don't know, 2012 or before. Elon's always been getting shit on by the media, at least the last 5 years. This is not new with his acquisition of Twitter. Joe Biden and the Democrats have been attacking him for over 2 years, long before the Twitter acquisitions thing started. So the idea that somehow, Tesla needs PR, that's silly. Any thought on bagging on Chicken Genius? He seems pretty right. Chicken Genius was right on the number for the wrong reasons, and he was wrong on the number because now it's below his 140. So, does he get, what if it drops to 100? Was he still right at 140? What are you doing? Do I think Tesla should split the cars and energy businesses into two separately trading stocks? That's a little off topic, but let's address that because I love this question. I think in the long term, as Tesla grows, Tesla's going to grow so large, there's going to be antitrust pressures. And I think at some point, Tesla's going to split itself off into multiple companies, not just two companies. So Tesla Energy, yeah. Maybe it's Tesla North America, Tesla Asia, Tesla Europe. Maybe it's Tesla Robotaxis, a separate company from Tesla, the car producing company. I think there's a lot of potential for things to split off, but not yet. People buy Hitler's brand. That's true. Volkswagen is Hitler's brand, and people buy it. Mr. Beast for Twitter CEO. I don't think Mr. Beast has a history of managing large companies, so no, I don't think so. Chicken Genius promoted FTX. That's right. And I never promoted FTX, and Elon never promoted FTX. So let's be clear about that. I wonder if Elon has been trying to attract truck buyers with Cybertruck coming out. Elon doesn't need to attract truck buyers by doing gimmicks. Cybertruck is awesome. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be the best pickup truck you can buy. It's going to, pickup trucks use a shit ton of gas or diesel, right? They're really, really inefficient. Imagine if you were getting more efficiency with your truck and you were paying a quarter of the price for the gasoline, right? Imagine if your truck had twice as good gas mileage or 3 times as good gas mileage, and the gas cost half as much or a quarter as much. Like, the cost of operating a Cybertruck is going to be like 1/10 the cost of operating a diesel truck. It's not going to take long for commercial businesses to figure out, wow, we can save a lot of money with this thing. So yeah, let me just reiterate for people who've just joined. There's a lot of talk about why is Tesla stock down. Tesla stock keeps falling. Somebody said it's already. I haven't been following the stock price during the course of the day. I saw it dip below 130. Somebody said it's down to 125. A much better. Gary Black is on this idea that it's a Twitter overhang, that it's Elon damaging the brand. Ross Gerber, they have all these theories about why the stock is down. A much better explanation for why the stock continues to fall is people are facing margin calls. And maybe some short-term trading stuff with options that I don't claim to understand. But margin calls is a much better explanation. As the stock falls, people who have invested on margin get margin calls and they have to sell. And that pushes the stock down further. And the stock gets pushed down further, and more people on margin get margin called and they have to sell. And so what clears this is when the margin buyers get cleared out. And then all of a sudden you're looking at a stock that's trading at a PE of like 30 with a growth of 50% profit, well, actually 100% profit growth on last year, more than 100% profit growth on last year, 700% growth the year before. Our company that's it's not revenue growth, it's profit growth that matters. And Tesla is growing profit really fast. Skimming for Elskit says, you mentioned superior car profit margins in China. What is the gross margin on Teslas produced in China? I don't know. What I've heard, and I'm not claiming this is reliable, is I mean, there's pretty strong evidence that Tesla's manufacturing in China is hyper efficient, partly because they're just producing a heck of a lot of cars out of a small footprint. So the amortization of the factory is over a much higher volume of cars. But I've heard that they've got 50% gross margins on the vehicles produced in China. I don't know if it's the Model Y in particular produced in China. I've heard that. I don't know if it's accurate. It sounds reasonable. Brent Westmoreland says all stocks are down today and tax loss harvesting with margin calls. Yeah, so tax loss harvesting is another thing. If you booked gains on stocks somewhere and you can sell some of your Tesla stock at a loss or some of your other stocks at a loss, that offsets your tax gains for tax purposes for next year. So some people do that. Nick Papagorgio says, where I got upset is where Elon pumped the market cap being more than Saudi Aramco and then dumped shares. He didn't say the market cap is worth more than Saudi Aramco. He said he sees a path that will be hard for Tesla to be worth more than Apple and the Saudi private investment fund or Saudi Aramco combined. But he didn't say it was going to happen this year. And he's not selling because he wants to sell. He's selling because he needs the cash. And if you didn't understand that him buying Twitter meant he was going to need to sell to get cash, you weren't paying attention to all the people saying if Elon buys Twitter, he's going to have to sell to get cash. All the people who were bashing Elon for Twitter at the beginning were saying he's going to have to sell Tesla stock to get cash. So it's not a surprise that he sold stock to get cash. And if you were margined on your Tesla stock, you should have sold your Tesla stock sooner to avoid this collapse. Larry Gary says Tesla is overvalued. The revaluation could send the S&P down another 50 to 70% from here. Tesla is not overvalued. Now, this is not hashtag not financial advice. Tesla is undervalued from traditional ways of valuing a company, right? Tesla is a highly profitable company that is growing really fast. And when you look at the price earnings ratio, currently 30, that is a ridiculously low price earnings ratio for a company that is growing profits at greater than 50% a year. The price earnings ratio should be 100. The stock should be trading at least 100. The stock should be trading at least 3 times its current price. Larry Gary says Musk wasted half a year on the Twitter distraction. This idea that Elon's time at Twitter is somehow hurting Tesla is false. I don't know who Larry Gary is. I don't know if this is a real account or if this is some kind of troll, but let's address the troll story. Tesla has continued to innovate. Tesla has continued to grow. Shanghai is growing like crazy. Giga Berlin is growing like crazy. Giga Texas is growing like crazy. Fremont has been growing production. Lathrop Megapack factory has been growing. All the 4680 cell production has been increasing. FSD has been improving. All with Elon distracted by Twitter. And Elon has always been distracted by SpaceX. Why was SpaceX distraction never a problem for Tesla? Dan Beck says, why are you charging your Tesla now? I don't have off-peak and peak pricing on my utility account, so that's why. As far as I know, there's no off-peak pricing for charging. And I charge during the day because I have to leave my door cracked. And I'm only paying like, I don't know, 15 cents a kilowatt hour, which is cheap. Am I following COVID cases in China? No, I don't follow that stuff. I don't think we can get reliable data out of China, so I don't see any point in following it. I don't think it matters. I don't agree with the theory that COVID is that dangerous, so that's not a conversation. And that's not a conversation I like to have on YouTube. Tom wouldn't compare Tesla to Amazon. Tesla's growing quick and high profit margin. Exactly. Right. Well, that means the company's more valuable than people are assigning value. Dan B, if Tesla gets too low, thoughts on outsider buying more shares in a hostile takeover? Yeah, I think that's a concern. I don't think it's a serious concern, but I think it's a concern. I think that the board would probably not say yes. The board sees that the stock price is unreasonably low. The board sees a future. So somebody would have to buy a lot of stock. And in the process of buying the stock for the hostile takeover, you'd be driving the stock price back up. So Website inventory is high though. Okay, look, there's other car companies have like dealerships filled with cars on the lots. Tesla has a back. This some people are saying, oh, there's no backlog anymore. There's a backlog for three Model 3 long range has such high demand that they stopped taking orders, and they still have a huge backlog for it. Model Y long range has a huge backlog. Model X long range has a huge backlog. I think Model S long range still has a significant backlog. You know, there are certain models that have low backlog, and anytime Tesla wants to, they can say, okay, let's produce more long range vehicles. What's happening is we're heading up to January 1st, where the Inflation Reduction Act tax credit kicks in, and buying behavior is going to change. And Tesla's pricing is probably going to change as well. We might even see a price increase happen. Gimning says, are you still up overall on your Tesla stock investments? I started buying in 2016. I'm way up on my Tesla stock investments. What's my price target for next year? I mean, I'm down on some of my investments. I bought at like $1,000 pre-split, and I bought at 260 or something like that, or 256 before, and I bought options at 100 when it was in the 160s. So my recent purchases are down, but overall I'm up. Gabagool says, I keep hearing you say you don't know for sure this, you don't know for sure that. Look, anybody who tells you they know something for sure is full of crap. That's all it is. Until positive sentiment returns, stock will stay down regardless of fundamentals. No, again, I don't make short-term predictions. I think what's going on is margin buyers are getting cleared out. And once the margin buyers are cleared out, the selling pressure stops. And I don't know how long it takes to clear the margin buying. Like, I don't know how long margin buyers, some margin buyers are holding out, hoping it turns around. Some people are holding on margin, bought on margin, and they're hoping they don't get margin calls. And when enough of the margin buyers get cleared out, they get their margin calls and they have to sell, then I think it hits a floor and then it starts going back up, because then the buyers recognize the deal. And I think that's what happens. I don't know. Like, anybody who tells you they understand short-term stock price movements is lying to themselves, or they're lying to you, or both. Nick Papagorgio, Warren, thoughts on the entire Democrat market not buying Tesla? This is a legit concern. No, it is not. United States market is about 1/3 of Tesla sales, right? So already it's 1/3 and then Democrats are about 1/3 of the public, right? In the United States, it's about a third Democrat, a third Republican, a third independent. And then you have to ask yourself, what percentage of that 1/3 of 1/3 are so motivated by politics that they care about this stuff? Because we tend to know people who are following this stuff. But the people who are following the Kardashians, the people who are following sports, the people who are watching Tom Brady throw footballs and LeBron James shoot basketballs and Steph Curry nursing a shoulder injury, the people who are watching Kim Kardashian or whoever, the 90 Day Fiance, they don't care about this stuff. And that's way more than half the market. So you've got a third are Democrats. Maybe a fifth of those Democrats are really passionate. Maybe a 10% of those Democrats are really passionate. And you get to the point where you're really talking about 1% of Tesla's overall market is actually affected by this stuff. And if you live in the right bubble, then it sounds like it's a much bigger deal than it is. But I'll tell you, if you go out to Melbourne, Florida, and you take your kids to an event that's totally you take your car to an event that's totally nonpartisan, and you bring a Tesla Model X and sit there, kids are crawling all over it. And parents are asking me questions about, what do you think they're asking about? You think they're asking me about Elon? No, they're asking me about the range, and they're asking me about charging and how long. What's the range and how long does it take to charge? Those are the questions I get. Investors taking task loss harvesting is definitely a possibility as well. Can I bring on SMR to do a Super Bowl video? At some point, Steven and I should do a video. I would love to do that. I think it'd be kind of like boring because we agree on everything, but it would be fun. The brokerages don't mess around. You got to pay them the overextended margin debt the next day. So to the extent that I can make a short-term stock prediction, I'm going to say this. At some point, we're going to hit a point where enough margin buyers have been cleared out that the margin selling pressure gets small enough that the buying pressure from people who realize, wow, this is an amazing opportunity, that starts to outweigh it, and then the stock starts to go up. And I think there are people who are waiting to see the bottom, right? Which is a dangerous game to play, right? If you say, well, I'm going to wait for the bottom, and let's say I'm going to put a limit order in at 120, it may never hit 120. Like, we don't know where the floor is. Maybe the floor is 100, maybe the floor is 50, maybe the floor is we have no idea. Carrie Chu says, I'm in a liberal suburb in the New York City area. Everyone is buying a Tesla EV here. Exactly. What's the gas mileage? Yeah. We having fun yet? Most people are not on Twitter, so don't know or care about Elon. Yeah, like I've actually seen people say that Elon's behavior at Twitter is affecting demand in China. Like, they don't have Twitter in China. They don't care about Elon's tweets. They don't care what Elon says about Joe Biden and the Democrats and Anthony Fauci in China. They don't care about any of that. Someone said that Elon still has a huge option to buy Tesla very cheap as part of his pay package. Yes, Elon has tranches of options that he exercises over time, and I don't think he's in any hurry to do that. I don't know what his strategy is for exercising options, and he's got more coming, I believe. And then at some point, the board has to give him a new pay package. We'll see what happens with that. So it's future A to B. Are we now reaching the share price of the basic shareholders that are not selling, and Tesla then does not go much lower? I think the question is, at what point does the buying pressure come in and outweigh the margin selling pressure? And I can't answer that. Is it at 120? Is it at 110? Is it at 100? I'm sure there's guys who've got technicals and charts to tell you that they know what it is, but they've been wrong a lot. So who knows? I don't think you can make these short-term predictions. What I can say is there is going to be a floor. Where the floor is, 120, 110, 100, 90, 80, I don't know. But there will be a floor, and it will come unless we have a nuclear war, some kind of apocalyptic scenario. We don't have that yet. Gabagool says 100 is the bottom. Nobody knows. Just buy when the stock is green. Duh. TikTok investors. Once the Tesla bots start running the Tesla, the shares will go to the moon. I mean, there's a lot of good things coming in Tesla's future. I mean, I think the big drivers are, number one. I'm going to go with short-term catalysts, right? And I don't know whether these catalysts are going to be as positive as I'd like to be. January 2nd, we get an order report. We get a production and delivery report, and maybe there may be something else they add to that, but we should get a production and delivery report. And then January 21st or so, we'll get the earnings call. So we're going to see record production and record deliveries. That seems very, very likely. We're going to see, over 400,000 of both, and we'll see, does production hit 450? And they might even tell us the run rate has hit 2 million, which I think is pretty obvious that the run rate has hit 2 million. And then January 21, we get the earnings report and the earnings call, and I think they're going to say, balls to the wall, we're going to increase production no matter what. Because that's what I've heard at the Q3 call, and Troy Teslike and I disagree on that. The current price is just a buy. And full disclosure, I'm trying to sell my house. I expect to have a pile of cash, a really substantial pile of cash, and I expect to put like $100,000 into Tesla stock once the house sells. So if you guys could push the stock price down to 50, like in February, I'd really appreciate it. So you have the Q4 numbers, and then what's really going to be the big catalyst, I think there's other catalysts coming, like Cybertruck, actually beta models being delivered, and hints that Cybertruck production's underway are going to be positive. Megapack ramping is going to be positive. We might, that's one of the questions. What are we going to hear in the Q4 investor call? But I really think when you get to Q1 of 2023, that's when we hear, did production continue to ramp? Because Troy Teslike says no, they're going to slow production. I say they're going to continue to increase production. Nick says he appreciates my resilience through this. Very impressive. I didn't buy on margin. It's easy for me to I'm not using the money. I don't need it. And I've been through these ups and downs before. If you're a long-term Tesla investor, you've seen the ups and downs before. So it's not a resilience. It's just, I've been there. And I think a lot of people identify with their portfolio value when they see their IRA or their brokerage account is up at, 10 million. They get really excited. When their brokerage account falls to 5 million, they feel deflated. They feel like they've lost something. I haven't lost anything because I haven't sold a share. Stocks go up, stocks go down. If you don't sell, you don't lose. You don't win either. I haven't made a profit on Tesla stock yet either because I haven't sold. We're not in a recession yet. We are definitely in a recession. Whether some economic gurus or government officials call it a recession, we're in a recession. Now, I'll say where I live here in Space Coast, Melbourne, Cape Canaveral area, I'm not seeing a recession here. Real estate is there's a house near me that just went on the market for $700,000. I was like, really? So if you don't need it, could you say, no, I don't have cash. I have enough to get by. If I had a pile of cash, I'd be buying Tesla stock. Willie Hayes, I've been in since May 2020. I'm not even looking at selling until 2030 minimum. That's my strategy. I mean, If it goes up, like, I think there's potential for it to swing the other way. This is like long-term stuff, right? The stock goes up, the margin buyers are priced out. People learn from it and stop buying Tesla stock on margin because they recognize the volatility, and you just get upward buying pressure. And end of 2023, Tesla stock is trading, and I'm making up numbers, and I hate making short-term stock price predictions, but Tesla stock is trading really high. It's possible for Tesla stock to get so high that I say, wait a minute, now I need to sell a little. Not going to sell a lot, but maybe there's comes to a point where it's like, okay, now I can sell a little. Probably not. I don't think it's going to happen. Like if it goes to the $1,000 a share, right? Would I sell a little? I guess it depends on what I see. If I had any money left, I would buy more. I bought more yesterday. Big mistake. No, buying yesterday was a good thing. Well, like, okay, not financial advice, but buying yesterday was a good thing. Did you buy? You can't know how low it's going to go. But if you believe it's a good value today, it's not a bad purchase. Helene says, unfortunately, most Americans live paycheck to paycheck, so most will sell to stay afloat. People who are living paycheck to paycheck are not buying Tesla stock. If you're living paycheck to paycheck, you're not buying Tesla stock. If you're living paycheck to paycheck, you're using that paycheck to pay your rent, you're paying your car payment, you're paying your insurance. Those people aren't buying a lot of stock. And people who own 5 shares or 10 shares and sell 10 shares, they're not driving the stock price down. It's people who own thousands of shares on margin or tens of thousands of shares on margin that are doing that. Gimning says, is Tesla on track to deliver an economy car retailing for about $25,000? 2024, Tesla will start producing the robotaxi platform. Not necessarily deliver, but sometime in 2024, Tesla will start producing the robotaxi platform vehicle. And based on what they've said, and based on the fact that they are now selling Model 3 Standard Range Plus for effectively less than $40,000 a car, and they said that the robotaxi platform vehicle would cost like about half as much to produce as a Model 3, then that vehicle might be $20,000. That's another piece of news that people aren't paying attention to. Do you think people really understand tax credits enough to significantly influence 2023 purchases? Some, not everybody, but some, yes. Is there anything you see which is negative about Tesla? That's a great question, Larry. I think the negatives are that the overall macro environment is challenging. I think that the company as a whole is executing extremely well, and I struggle to see a negative in how the company is executing. I would like them to have explained the master plan part 3, because I think I know what the master plan part 3 is about. It's about increasing battery material availability. I don't like the talk of share buyback. I don't think it was good that Elon said that they would do a share buyback. I want to see Tesla hold cash to be able to make an acquisition in the mining space. Like if we're going to see like stocks continue to fall like this in the market as a whole, there may be a buying opportunity for Tesla to buy a mining stock. That I don't know that they're going to do this. I'm just saying that might be an opportunity. There may be some kind of acquisition that helps them with long-term producing enough battery materials, enough batteries to satisfy their needs to produce the products that contain batteries. Gimning says a lot of people can't afford a $65,000 car. There's this theory that the recession hurts luxury sales. No, what we've seen in past recessions is wealthy people continue to buy cars. It's people on the margins, people who are struggling paycheck to paycheck, who can't buy new cars. And those people aren't buying $65,000 cars. So Tesla, like luxury cars hold up in a recession. Luxury products hold up in a recession. So that's not an issue. And like buying a more efficient car is a lot better in a recessionary environment, and Tesla cars are much more efficient. Like as a long-term play, buying a Tesla car is much better than buying a gas car. Flowers by Irene. So FSD is doing the right thing by slowing down and being cautious for flashing yellow. If it was flashing green and slowing down, there would be some corrections. No, generally speaking, human drivers do not slow for flashing yellows. Flashing yellow doesn't mean slow down. It means look around and be careful. But yeah, buyback is for nobody. Buyback actually makes no sense. BYD doesn't make a profit on their V, so it doesn't matter all that much. I don't know whether BYD, exact Mark Plott's point, BYD pads its sales with hybrids. What percentage of Tesla sales are in China? It's about a third China, about a third Europe, and about a third North America, my best guess. I don't know the exact numbers. I mean, the bulk, more than half of production right now, I think, is still in China. I think they're right about half. I mean, for 2022, more than half of production was in China. I think now that Giga Texas and Giga Berlin are ramping, it's roughly half of production's in China, but some of that goes to Europe. But now that Giga Berlin is ramping, less of Giga China's of Giga Shanghai's production is going to go to Europe. It's going to go to other countries like Thailand and Turkey. What we need is an actual PR department. No, we don't need a PR department. Elon canned the PR department and the stock went up like 10x. So maybe that's not a good strategy. Is it true the Mega Pack ramp is at 25 a week? Now, we don't know the answer to that. There was a report that Mega Pack was at 25 a week. I don't think they're there yet. But I don't know. There are 80 million cars produced each year. Do you really think Tesla could sell 1 out of 4 cars produced by 2030? Yes. Yes, I think it could be better than that. Absolutely. I don't know if we're going to see. I think it could be 60 million cars produced a year, and Tesla could sell 1/3 of the cars produced in 2030. But that depends on how the economy transitions. Andrea says, I live in Norway. The Chinese EVs are not selling all that well. Tesla dominates totally here. Tesla cars are better. I mean, I don't know that much about BYD. They don't have FSD. They don't have the supercharging network. They don't have the navigation system that's as cool. They don't have all the software in a Tesla car. They're probably not as well built as a Tesla. They probably don't have the durability of a Tesla either. And they probably don't have the battery management systems that Tesla has. Tesla's got a lot going for it, and people underestimate a lot of that. Cheese is a luxury product. When the poor can't afford cheese, the price of cheese drops. Depends on the cheese. I bet the higher end cheeses don't drop. Elon tweet, the risk of being repetitive, these Fed rate increases might go down in history as the most damaging ever. Yeah. I think that inflation is a really nasty beast and you want to get it under control. And I think the real problem with inflation is actually government spending too much rather than that. What was that? All right, you guys are going fast. We got a good crowd here today. Tom said, I bought an R1S after 2 months. Wife has had enough and staying with Teslas. Charging network sucks for non-Teslas. It's hard to travel anywhere. I believe that. Michael Topo says, my wife is worried because I dollar cost average since $165 a share until now, trying to help her understand market psychology. I'm thrilled today. Hop down here. Warren and SMR are PR and doing a great job. Yeah, look, Rob Maurer, myself, Stephen Mark Ryan, Dave Lee, we're all talking up what's going on with Tesla. Elon talks about Tesla stock. Elon talks about Tesla, the company, on Twitter, and he has a huge following. There's lots of great stuff. Tesla has a world-class battery, BMS thermal system. Thank you, Mark Plot. How do I feel about my hyperbole prediction of $200,000 a share for 2030? Okay, that was pre-split, and it wasn't like that was sort of like the most optimistic scenario what could happen, and I still think it could happen. I think it actually could be better than that with bot. If Robotaxi takes off more than expected and bot takes off more than expected, it could actually be better than $200,000 a year pre-split. Now, post-split, that $20,000 a share is like $67,000 a share, so just keep that in mind. And I haven't backed off any of that at all. I mean, the long-term value of Tesla is in robotaxis and bot and Tesla Energy and Tesla cars. There's so many good things happening with Tesla. I should do a call with Chicken Genius. I don't know. Could the elites be scared about getting called out Twitter files? Yeah, that's happening too. The Wiz says, I sold 30 shares in August at $910 to clear my line of credit. I've been buying with cash since. Cool. Can we talk about Robot when the robot is not out yet? We can talk about anything. I mean, Bot is a really innovative product. Look, we talked about Model 3 before Model 3 was out. We talked about Model Y before Model Y was out. We talked about, we anticipated a Model S and Model X refresh before that was out. Yes, we can talk about that stuff. Willie Hayes says, I still see 1,200 to 1,300 by 2030. 1,200? No way. Like, I think my floor on Tesla stock in 2030, like my bear case for 2030 is like $2,500 to $3,000 a share for 2030. I mean, there's so much good stuff happening. Today feels like capitulation. Again, let me just say this again. What I believe is happening, I don't know. I don't claim to be an expert on short-term stock price movements, but what I believe is happening is a lot of people bought on margin, and the people who bought on margin are getting margin calls. And as margin calls happen, more people sell. As the stock falls, more people get margin calls, and that accelerates until a certain point you've cleared out all the people who bought on margin, or enough of the people who bought on margin that selling pressure starts to decline, and then the buying pressure sits in. And Yeah, I don't know whether the floor is at 125 or 120 or 110 or 100 or 80, but at some point we hit that floor where all the margin sellers are cleared out. The people who bought on margin that have to sell are cleared out, and then all of a sudden all you have is demand. All of a sudden you have buying, and then the stock goes back up. That's a prediction, and I hate short-term stock price predictions and start predicting short-term behavior, but my gut hunch is we're going to see it hit a floor, and we're going to see a meteoric rise. Once the margin people are cleared out, we're going to see a meteoric rise. Johnny Football says, I got a margin call today on a lot of Tesla shares, worse than destroying my Model Y by hitting 2 hogs after meeting you. Worse than destroying my Model Y by hitting 2 hogs after meeting you, Warren, at TeslaCon. And let's be clear, I never told people to buy on margin. I never told people to buy options. I never told people to play these kind of short-term games. If you chose to buy on margin, you chose to play options, you chose to play short-term games. I don't think it's weak hand selling. I mean, to some extent, it's people who are stressed out by the stock that they're selling low. That happens, but I think it's the margin buyers that are selling. That's because they're getting if you were a margin buyer and the stock falls, you get pressure to sell, and the stock falls more and you get pressure to sell. At some point, those people are cleaned out. Bang, it goes. Jeep closes plant in USA. I didn't see that. No demand. Thank you, Mark. If you look at 52 weeks, really quick, I want to thank the moderators. I see Mark Plot. I don't remember who else is in there. Maybe Mark Patachnik or Jim Whitehead might be in the chat right now. I've only noticed Mark Plot. So thank you, Mark Plot, for moderating the chat. Really appreciate that. Thank you, Dave Pelletier, for being a member of the channel. I think it's just you, Mark. Are you on your own? You're doing a great job, Mark. Tesla's down 70% from all-time high, Warren. Are you not worried? No, I'm not worried. Look, I invested in Tesla, the company, and the company is doing well. If you invested in Tesla, the stock, without thinking about the company, that's on you. That's not the kind of investing that I do. I believe in the company, and I invested in the company. I believe in Elon, and I invested in Elon. And I see, like, massive gains ahead. I don't know when, but it doesn't matter because I'm not selling. What happens if stock drops to zero? Well, if the stock's to zero, then we can buy an infinite amount of stock. It's not going to drop to zero. Yeah, Steel Curtain says playing the leverage game is risky business. Jeep is closing their Illinois plant. Okay. Buying on margin was a long-term strategy for me, but it didn't expect it to fall as much. LOL. Yeah, well, it's a strategy, but you chose a risky strategy. Because when you buy on margin, you are taking the risk that the stock is going to fall enough that you're going to have to sell. So it's not a great long-term strategy if you're forced to sell. And, we know it's a volatile stock, so it's a risky strategy. Don't buy single stocks with money you cannot afford to lose. Stick to indexes. Right now, Tesla market cap is $400 billion. That means about $300 billion for automotive and $100 billion for everything else. I don't know. I don't know if I agree with that analysis. If stock drops to zero, that would be amazing for you. It's not going to drop to zero. That's not even realistic. I will buy when Tesla's at 120. If it breaks 120, the next is, yeah, who knows? Lexi, were you ever down massive on Tesla stock in the past when you bought it in the early days? If so, how did you cope with it? I think I bought at a good time and it just went up. I bought in 2016, so I would say I was flat. I bought in 2016. The run-up didn't happen until 2019 or 2020. I started buying in 2016 and buying more and more, and it was flat for 3 years or so. I don't think it went up very much in those 3 years. I don't think it ever went down much from where I bought it, but it didn't go up. Can I talk a little about options? Yeah, I don't like talking about options. I bought options when the stock price was around 160, 168. I have 5 options with a strike price of 350 and a strike date of June 2024, I think. And if the stock goes to like 360 or 370, I think I make money. If it goes to like 400, I make money compared to if I just bought stock with the money. But that was just like a play. That was like a small play. It's like 1% of my net worth. Knowing when to exit a margin strategy is the trick most fail at. Look, playing short-term games is playing short-term games. If you play short-term games, you're going to get burned sometimes. The Wiz says, I got burned on margin calls in 2000, learned my lesson. Stock at 123 now. East Coast could use a giga. Yeah, I mean, other drivers, like at some point, Tesla's going to announce the next factory. And they're going to announce battery factories. And there's rumors of a factory in Mexico. And there's rumors of a factory in Montreal. Most people have not experienced a bear market before. Most have been spoiled with a long bull market where even a monkey could have made a profit. Exactly. The honeymoon is over. Great time to buy. Is your option to buy Tesla or not? Yeah, right. Very soon, institutional funds will take charge from retail investors and volatility will settle. I don't think it's about retail versus institutional. It's about margin buyers getting cleared out and then everybody recognizing what a value it is and buying with no selling pressure on the other side. So again, my predictions are crap. So don't rely on this. But my prediction is we're going to hit a floor, whether the floor is 120, 110, 180, whatever it is. We're going to hit a floor. And once we hit the floor and the margin sellers are cleared out, it's going to shoot up because you're going to have only buying pressure. Oh, thank you, Skimning, for the glasses comment. I went into call. I need the glasses to read the chat. I went into calls the same week Elon said Twitter. Tesla numbers and profits shine through. This kind of reminds me when Amazon stock was down 90% in the early 2000s. Yeah, I bought Amazon in 2013 and it went up like 12x. My biggest mistake was not buying more, and my biggest other mistake was not selling when it was higher. But I sold high enough. Actually, when I bought Tesla stock more recently, it was selling Amazon and Google, which are probably also down. So not down as much as Tesla maybe, but they're down. Actually, I think Amazon is down as much as Tesla. Next support is $97 according to Electrified's tech analysis. That technical analysis is bullshit. Doesn't make any sense. Support level is 109. These numbers, this stuff about like short-term numbers and technicals, how wrong have these people been before? Why are they right now? We can't, this idea like people are saying the support level is 109, there's some technicals this, 80 is the bottom. We can't know where the bottom is. We can be confident there will be a bottom. Tesla forward PE is similar to McDonald's and Hershey chocolate. Tesla's growing at 50%. The other two, Tesla's growing faster than 50%. Tesla profits are growing. We're going to see that the Q4 numbers are going to show that Tesla profits grew more than 100% from 2021 to 2022. We're going to have over $4 a share compared to $1.60 a share in 2021. Massive growth. Still way up on Tesla even now. Tech analysis works because of algos trading. Tech analysis works until it doesn't work. All this short-term trading stuff works until it doesn't work, and when it doesn't work, it blows up in your face. Is Orlando affected by seasonal hurricanes? Yes. Might not be best for staging new vehicles before shipping. Yeah, well, it's California is affected by earthquakes, and Texas is affected by hurricanes too. Technical analysis is horoscopes. Thank you, Mark Plot. You should do another interview with freelance finance sometime. Sure. Warren's not worried. He makes a living on YouTube. I don't make that much on YouTube. I make ballpark $50,000 or $60,000 a year as a YouTuber. Not bad. I'm not complaining about it, but it's not that much. I live cheap, and once I get over a personal hump, my finances are going to get crazy better in terms of cash flow, starting hopefully in a couple months and heading forward. According to my cat, the bottom is $93. Voodoo Tech Anal. The fact that Berlin and Austin are making 3,000 cars a week is promising. Yeah, there's all kinds of good news. Berlin and Austin are successfully ramping. They're at 3,000 a week. They're heading to 5,000 a week. Shanghai's over $1 million a year run rate. Fremont has grown to like 600,000 or 700,000 a year run rate. There's lots of great news. Peaceful predicts. So this is the best prediction I've seen. A low of 69 and a high of 420. I got to. I'm thinking tweet that. You got to tweet that and tag me. I love that one. Recognize that Kathy Wood is buying and not panicking. Yeah, Elon has the right to sell all he wants. His money. I do love what I do on YouTube. I love other things. The nice thing is I can do YouTube as a hobby and still make 50 or 60,000 a year. And otherwise I've got enough to get by on. Did you see your South Florida house? Where are you headed? Sally, we're selling the South Florida house. We had a showing yesterday. We'll see. We're waiting for a buyer. We had a buyer come look at the house yesterday, and it wasn't what they wanted. They wanted a one-floor house. I don't know why they bothered showing them a two-floor house when they want a one-floor house, but they took a look. I live in Europe and have never seen so many Teslas on the road. I do not see demand issue at all. Yeah, I see Teslas more and more. Teslas are growing like crazy. As soon as FSD works, Tesla will enjoy massive savings. I think the shorts are going to start buying soon. As soon as FSD works, Tesla will enjoy massive savings when they no longer have to purchase gas brake pedals and install them. That'll help. Yeah, don't forget how much money Tesla's saving by not installing radar in the cars and ultrasonics. Like how much money that saves. Warren is the only one rationalizing Tesla. I look, just to be clear, I don't know what other people are saying. I haven't watched other channels. I understand some people are flipping out about the stock. The stock price is going to go up and down. The company has been accelerating and growing and doing great things. Is Lucid down? I didn't even notice that. Am I relocating from Florida? No, no, no. I'm going to stay. At least for now, I'm staying in Florida. The current plan is to stay in the Melbourne, Cape Canaveral area, buy a piece of land and build a solar farm apartment prototype, probably in Palm Bay, Florida, next year. Alternative plans include going to Costa Rica and living in Costa Rica and going to Japan, Fukuoka, Japan, and living in Japan. But right now, the leading plan is to buy a piece of land in Melbourne, Florida, in Palm Bay, Florida, and build a solar farm apartment prototype and live in that. Oscar Pena, I got delivery of my Model Y last Sunday. I didn't see any demand issue. At least 20 cars were delivered during the 2 hours I was in the Tesla store dealer. Yeah, I mean, the cars are moving. And I agree with Mark, Twitter is irrelevant to Tesla. Very attractive price, a great time to buy. Seldom see such an opportunity. Dirty Fatty, hey Warren, do you see GameStop style short squeeze coming? I don't know enough about short squeezes to know. I would bet the shorts are starting to buy. I think the shorts are probably closing out their shorts now. I don't understand shorts, so I'm not qualified to answer that question. Lots of margin calls combined with shorting more to get out of old shorts. They've been locked up from past run up. What do I think of Hollywood, Florida? I don't like South Florida. That's Broward County. I mean, Hollywood, it's a nice place overall in a sense, and the Margaritaville Resort is pretty nice. But I don't have a particular opinion about Hollywood, Florida as being that much different from the rest of South Florida. Would I move to Bastrop, Texas? I would move to Bastrop for the right reasons, but I don't have any particular reasons to move to Bastrop. I do like Bastrop. I have friends in Bastrop. Bastrop, for those who don't know, is where the Boring Company factory is, and the SpaceX, probably Starlink factory is being built. Bastrop that's where that is, and that's outside of Austin, Texas. I like Bastrop. I have friends there. I do like the area, but I don't think I'm buying there. Do I still have my off-grid property? Yes. Radar will come back in 2023. HD radar, maybe. We'll see about that. We don't know what that's going to be. That could be the next generation hardware as well. We don't know. Any plans for the Christmas holidays? I will be doing a Twitter space on Christmas Day called Alone Together. I will be alone on Christmas Day, but I'm Jewish, so don't feel too bad for me for being alone on Christmas Day. I was alone on Thanksgiving, and I did the same thing, and I did this last year. I'm going to do a Twitter space from probably 5 p.m. East Coast time to 6 p.m. West Coast time, so that people who are alone at dinner time on Christmas Day will have a place to go to be around other people who are alone. And by the way, I still don't want to be alone on Christmas Day. It's not that much different than other days for me, but do I like the Tampa St. Pete area? Yes, I like the Tampa St. Pete area, but I like this area a little bit better. I like smaller communities rather than larger communities. Tampa, St. Pete, Orlando are all bigger and more busy and more traffic. When the Boring Company solves traffic problems in big cities, I'll probably like big cities better. At what price should Elon Musk sell shares due to margin loans? I have no idea whether Elon is facing margin pressures. I tend to doubt it. Elon can always sell more options. Um, can always acquire more of his options and then sell that rather than worrying about margins. So, could I see Tesla hitting $250 by year end? By 2022 year end? That seems unlikely. How big do you plan your solar farm to? No, it's a building. It's going to be like a house size thing that just the whole roof is solar. That's the vision. 800 square feet with like 20 kilowatts of solar panels on it. The long-term plan is if the prototype works, then you build 100 apartments like that, or you build 1,000 apartments like that, and then you have a 20 megawatt solar power plant with 1,000 homes paying rent. Do I have a new girlfriend yet? No new girlfriend. I had a date that was a disaster. When your date starts giving you dating advice, you know it's not a good date. But the dinner was great. Conversation was pretty good, other than recognizing that wasn't going well. Yes, Dirty Fatty, happy Hanukkah. Elon could go public with SpaceX and solve all his money problems. No, he doesn't have money problems. Shalom, peaceful. Do I think SpaceX will ever go public? I think Starlink will go public in 2023 or probably more likely 2024. I don't think SpaceX will go public for a long time, if ever. Not if ever. I mean, at some point it goes public, but use mail hoping for a possible video on boring tunnels and robo-taxis and how it'll change our cities forever. I think I've done a video like that already. Um, L'chaim. Is it just me or do all these muscle car drivers love getting beat racing Teslas? Yeah, a little bit of that. Somebody I was talking to said they love. I was talking to a woman last night. I do country line dancing, and I was talking to a woman. She's married. She was talking about how she loves muscle cars, and I'm like, no, sometime you can go for a ride in my plaid and tell me what you think. Likes the sound, the vibration, whatever. It's pretty cool to go 0 to 60 in 2.6 seconds. Wall Street is about to go on vacation for the rest of the year. I really think it's margin people who bought on margin that are being forced to sell. How did I meet who? Oh, the date. I met the date through an app called The League. Um, Thank you, AEDGI TV. I don't know what Muslim holiday it might be coming up, but happy whatever it is to you as well. Ramadan? I don't know. Should I know this? I'm American. I'm clueless. I don't know what the Japanese holidays are. I don't know what the Buddhist holidays are. I didn't really know it was Hanukkah until somebody told me because I'm not a religious Jew. Made a fun hip hop song called New Ch. What? Why not just trains? Boring company seems like a scam. When we have a troll in the audience. Okay. Well, how come trains haven't expanded rapidly? Trains aren't a good solution. That's why. Bill Cosby has a dating app. Yeah. Do I think Tesla will announce multiple gigafactories in 2023? I actually do think that Tesla will announce 3 or 4 gigafactories between now and the end of 2023, but I'm wrong a lot. Any thoughts on the U.S. military defense budget? It's super crazy. I'm a big fan of demilitarizing. I think the United States should not have troops all over the world. That's a long conversation. That's not really a fit for this channel. If you like that topic or you want to hear me talk about that topic, I have a channel called The Daily Lie on the Locals platform. It's warrenredlick.locals.com. There's a link in the video description below. Please check that out. I talk about politics and geopolitics and other things like that on that channel. I talk about Tesla a little bit on that channel, but I talk more about other topics on that channel. Use the plaid as a wingman. Exactly. People are selling because of margin and also because it's the last day to sell. This is the last day to sell and claim capital losses for 2022. Is that true? Really? I didn't realize that. Why is this the last day? Do I still think Osaka is a candidate? Hell yes. Yes, Peaceful says he highly recommends Southeast Asian girls. I hear that a lot. It's possibly like if it's not Florida, then there's one option. We were just talking about Costa Rica with a group of friends, and I've been talking about Japan. So Japanese girls or Costa Rican girls are possibilities. But honestly, I still like American women. I'm just trying to find the right one. I'm not getting a Tesla semi. No to Osaka. Japan economically can't allow. Yes, Japan can allow it. China allowed it. Yes, it absolutely. It makes perfect sense. Takeover candidate. Why do you think the U.S. has failed to build high-speed rail networks? Why China, Japan, and South Korea has dominated this area? Kind of sad if you ask me. So I can't comment on China or South Korea, not as much. I can comment on Japan. Japan's country is like a line. If you look at it on a map and you look where the population is, you can basically make a line, and a large share of the population lives within 5 or 10 miles of that line. From Sapporo down to Fukuoka and maybe Miyazaki, whatever, you can draw a line. It's not a straight line, right? And so you can have one main line that serves the entire country, and the population is very dense and very concentrated along lines like that. So it's easy to serve, and the population grew up around the train lines they'd already built. The United States is a rectangle, and we have sprawl that's happened a long time ago. So you can't do trains effectively to serve a population when you have all that sprawl and you have that rectangular spread. And Americans are wealthy enough that we want to drive our own cars. Ukraine's full of hot homeless women. Yeah, I suppose Ukraine would probably have some, and there's probably a shortage of men now in Ukraine. I suppose I could take that attitude, but I don't like to think that way. The Model X Plaid has not been doing the mating dance for me. No. It turns out that owning one of the hottest cars on the planet in red does not necessarily get you lots of women. Toyota owns the Japanese government. I think you're wrong about Toyota and owning the Japanese government, but I don't know for sure. Look, Harry Chu, I don't know how well you know Japanese economy and Japanese policy. I mean, people think that it's going to be Giga Korea. Well, why is the Japanese government less protectionist, more protectionist than the Korean government? Why are either of them more protectionist than the Chinese government? You think Elon can't? Elon got China to let him open a wholly owned Tesla factory in Shanghai. You think he can't persuade the Japanese government to let him open a wholly owned factory in Japan? How many push-ups can I do in 1 minute? I haven't tested that. Inessa Levit says, I'm from Ukraine, no hot homeless women there. Okay. Let's see. Rail in the United States is in decline. Okay. China is around the same size in terms of land area as the US, but they also have like 70% of the world's high-speed rail. Well, they have a government that has infinite power and they can do what they want and they can push what they want. They also have a lot of bad investments and a lot of bad real estate and a lot of other bad investment decisions. The United States, generally speaking, investment decisions are made by people who have skin in the game. Japan does have Teslas sold there. Not only BYDs. Tesla is shipping Plaid to Japan. Cool. Would a Japan Gigafactory really be a good idea? I feel like Japan is a pretty stagnant economy. It's the third largest car market in the world. I think the robo-taxi vehicle will be a great fit for Japan. It is stagnant. It is population decline. So, 30 years out, it's a problem. But I think for the next 10, 20 years, it's fine. I don't know anything about Mullen as the company. What do I think about Giga Mexico? I think that Tesla may be building more uh, infrastructure in Mexico to supply Giga Texas. What I read was Nuevo Leon, which is the Mexican province closest to Austin, Texas. So they may be building something to build supply chain for Giga Texas. That's my best guess there. If it's true, which we don't even know if it's true or just a rumor. Women care about social status, ask Elon. Okay. Did people really buy on margin during the start of a quantitative tightening season? Apparently. When do you think Tesla stock price starts to climb up? It's been on a downward trend nonstop. So that's Richard. Let's get back to the point of this video. There's people like Gary Black saying that Tesla stock is down because of Twitter overhang. There's Ross Gerber saying Tesla stock is down because Elon's not paying attention to Tesla or some other bullshit reason. I think what we're seeing is that as the stock price fell for macro reasons, people who bought on margin started getting margin calls and they had to sell. And the stock went down more. And then more people who bought on margin got more margin calls. And there's just ongoing pressure for people to sell. And then paper-handed people who don't understand the psychology of markets, the goal is to buy low and sell high. People started selling low. So you just get this increasing pressure. And at a certain point, you clear out the margin sellers, you clear out the paper hands, and people recognize what a value it is. And where that floor is, I don't know. Is the floor 120? Is the floor 110? Is the floor 80? I don't know where the floor is. But at some point, we hit a floor where all those people are cleared out and the buyers pile in, and there's no resistance to buying. So I think we're going to hit a floor. My short-term investing advice is total crap, so don't rely on me. But my prediction is we're going to hit a floor somewhere, 120, 110, 100, 80, whatever. And once we clear out the margin sellers, you're going to see it skyrocket because there will be no selling pressure to counteract the buying pressure. That's a prediction. And yeah, it might have to wait until January for us to see that happen. Apple can take over Tesla at these prices. I do see the potential that somebody could buy a lot of Tesla stock and acquire Tesla, but that would create buying pressure that would push the stock price up. So how much would they have to buy? They would have to buy some huge volume to get to the point where they could actually make a takeover attempt, and buying in that volume would send the stock price shooting up. So it's an interesting idea. The Saudis could do it too, right? The Saudis and Apple could coordinate and they could buy a lot. But once you start buying the stock, once companies like Apple and the Saudis start buying stock in volume, because you're going to have to buy like 20% to make a reasonable takeover move, right? Because you're going to have to at least 20%. Well, 20% is a lot, right? You'd have to buy, what is that, $80 billion in Tesla stock? You think that's not going to cause the stock price to go up? All right. So I think I've run out of steam. I've been going for a long time. I'm going to rest here. I want to thank everybody for watching. I want to thank Mark Plot in particular for managing the chat. Please check out the t-shirts at elonbits.com. Maybe not this t-shirt, but the Tesla Nair shirt or the insanely gigantic shirt. Check those out at elonbits.com. Please check out my other videos. Please support me on the Locals platform, warrenredlich.locals.com, on Patreon, or as a YouTube channel member. And thank you all so much for watching.